Beautiful. Today's the 12th.
Yes. All right, I'm ready when you are, Paul.
All right, wonderful. Thank you both for joining us today, and thank you very much for setting up the Zoom meeting. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Paul.
We are going to call to order the regular meeting of the Elderly and Disabled Tax Fund Committee. This is a hybrid meeting being held via Zoom as well as in person at 1059 Somerset Ave, Dayton, Mass. at the Primetime Building. Today is December 12th. The Zoom meeting ID to join the meeting is 899-8115-9770, passcode 466325. This meeting is being recorded for playback on the Dayton YouTube channel and dayton-ma.gov. Would you all please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, actually, I gotta write the time down. 4:01.
Oh, yes. It was 4:01 p.m. Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
All right, so we have, as our first item, is the approval of the previous meeting minutes. Thank you very much, Laura, for getting those out. They looked great to me. I really appreciate it. You know, I'm on a lot of committees. I feel like we have some of the more diligent and better kept minutes of them. So thank you very much for that.
Oh, thanks.
Does
I
anybody?
apologize for sending them as late as I did. I try to, it just kind of got away from me this month, so I'm sorry.
No, all good. On time and under budget.
Yeah, right.
And does anybody have any amendments or corrections?
No.
All right. So that being said, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made. Is there a second?
I second that.
All right. Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So the next item on the agenda, and really the only substantive item, is the application and criteria for assistance. I know we've been batting around a handful of different ideas. Did you get a chance to look at the little cover page that I had sent out?
Yes.
Yeah, so I realized after I sent it that I did leave out a couple of things, like, you know, have you owned your home for 2 or more years? I believe 2. Was 2 what we decided on?
It was 2 that we discussed. We never really made an actual motion on it, but we
Gotcha.
we all like verbally like the idea of 2. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So this isn't a definitive document. This is just kind of a working draft, just because I wanted us to have something kind of like real that we could look at.
Right.
Just get it on the page, and sometimes just by starting, it kind of helps craft itself by seeing, you know, what's good about it, what's bad about it.
Right.
So just to review, the form opens with just a little descriptor about the fund and what it is. It lets people know that they need to fill out the senior tax exemption form. We're collecting the name, age, veteran status. We'd like to collect whether or not they have owned their home for 2 or more years.
Yep.
We're seeking assistance on the basis of disability, yes or no. And then I basically just copied Jonathan's language verbatim that he had provided, that you had in the meeting minutes.
Perfect. Yeah. I played that back 3 times to make sure I wrote it exactly how I said it.
And then just the authorization.
Yep.
Was there anything that stood out as being missed here? I was just kind of trying to get everything that I thought that we needed for our legal protection standpoint, and then also just to minimize confusion and let people know that, you know, their bank statements are not going to be public record at any point. But most likely, I would imagine we probably are going to have to disclose who we are, who we are releasing the funds to, and the amount. That's fair. I think that there's a legitimate public need to know that. So I'll just read that authorization paragraph for the record. I hereby authorize the Board of Assessors to release my exemption application and supporting documentation to the Elderly and Disabled Tax Fund Committee for the purpose of determining my eligibility for assistance. The documents provided to the committee will remain confidential and will not be treated as public record. If I receive an assistance award from the committee, I understand my name, address, and award amount may become public record. I understand that awards will be processed in the form of a credit adjustment to my real estate tax bill. I understand that funds are awarded based on need as determined by the committee, and the committee has the right to alter or amend its eligibility requirements after an authorizing vote at a public meeting held for such purpose.
Perfect.
So I think that that covers us from the liability perspective. We will obviously need a legal opinion. Fortunately, I did have a meeting with the town administrator where I discussed this with him. And I just wanted to get his blessing ahead of time to know whether or not we would have access to the legal budget line item to get Matt Costa to take a look at this for us. He did say that he's amenable to that. He likes the idea, and once we have a working draft, then we can go ahead and submit this to the Board of Selectmen, who will pass it on to legal. Or I can ask if I can just reach directly out to Matt Costa. But we did get the blessing to get a set of legal eyes on this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was really happy about that because we want to make sure that we do this right. We want to be fair and transparent, but at the same time, we also are going to have to protect people's privacy.
Right.
So Ralph really just wanted us to come up with some basic language as a starting point because I think the general thinking is that the more we have done already, there's a big cost difference between a lawyer reviewing it for us and a lawyer crafting it for us. And, one is a lot more expensive than the other.
Absolutely.
And I think what is and this is beautiful, so I'm hoping it gets his blessing and it seems okay. I know what we've done is kind of piggyback, and what we did previously is grab other towns' kind of information and tweaking it to us. But what is kind of unique about this is that other towns aren't doing something like that because they have their own applications. So thank you for using your brilliant brain, Paul, in crafting this language, because I would not have been able to come up with that paragraph that you have.
Well, I don't believe that, but thank you very much.
It's true, trust me. I do have a question about that, this form. Is this in addition to or potentially replacing the guidelines that Jonathan created that we had tweaked, that had the qualifications, application process, distribution of funds, and how to donate to the fund? Would this be together, or are we able to maybe merge them?
I'm thinking it might make sense to either merge them or to kind of convert those guidelines into an FAQ that we could distribute along with this form.
Okay.
That way folks would be able to read it, because one of the things that we do want to kind of be courteous about is anything that we can do to kind of lighten the load on the Board of Assessors, because they're going to see a big spike in exemptions from folks who aren't qualified, and just on the basis of they're plain old not old enough, right? Because we're going to have a lower age requirement. And so if we are to maybe make like an FAQ sheet based on the guidelines that Jonathan brought us in terms of, what we're looking for income and, the age limit, preference for veterans, things like that. That might be a good way to kind of sift some people who will just read the first few bullet points and say, oh, you know what, I'm 59, I'm going to have to wait a little while.
And to be honest, he kind of has it in that format almost. It's not necessarily listed as an FAQ, but it is bullet pointed with nice subheadings. I think it's, to me, not an overwhelming thing, because we help people apply to all kinds of things. And if it is somebody 60 and older, and I'm sure even for somebody who's disabled, you don't want to read through paragraph on paragraph on paragraph. And this is broken up really nicely that you created, and the one he created with the bullet points. I feel like when you see bullet points, you're automatically like, okay, it's not so bad. I don't know.
Yep.
It's not
a whole paragraph.
Right. So I think if we were able to incorporate both, because I like how it lays out how can I apply for this? This is nice where it has the paragraph explaining what this committee is, but this really lays down that, am I actually qualified? You read a couple bullet points and you're like, oh, okay, no, I'm not. What's the application process? Oh, okay, that makes sense. And you have the distribution of funds, and then also for people who want to donate. I think this is kind of a nice like grab thing to really understand what exactly we are, because it's, I feel like, kind of like with when we reopened COA, I don't mean to keep comparing, but it took a long time to really get people to understand what the COA can do, that it's not just prime time. Similar with this, it's what is this tax fund? Where, it's like, it's all kind of brand new.
Yep.
So I think making it as like abundantly clear, because it is kind of a weird process. Well, the more I thought about it, actually, when I read back or listened back and did the meeting minutes, part of me almost wish we did create our own application. And then for the people who were already seniors could just do the senior application, like the
Yeah.
people who,
A younger that have the disability.
yeah. But I mean, I think we're kind of well past that. And
Yeah.
if this state, I mean, we're still kind of waiting from, I know Bill's not here today, but hopefully we can find out how that assessors meeting went to see if the state will allow us to use that senior application forms still, even though they'll get immediate denial, if that affects any reporting, if the committee was okay with us also piggybacking on their thing too with
Right.
that.
Right.
That was a
And,
lot of words at once. I apologize.
No, it's great. So I totally agree. I think that maybe if we were to have something like and something too for future consideration is that we could get through this first year of
Yes.
administering the fund with one form, and then we can have a session, after this season of, after the application season ends in April, and have a do a little autopsy on it, so to speak. See
Yeah,
what worked,
absolutely.
what we liked, where the points of friction were, what needs to be tweaked.
I like
Yeah,
that. Great
maybe we
idea.
can even do like I don't know if a joint meeting makes sense, but at least get some feedback from the Board of Assessors after this, because obviously it's brand new. I don't expect it to probably get too crazy, because it's something new and it takes a while for people to learn about it and understand it. But I'd like to get their feedback on how they feel about it too, once we start kind of rolling with it. And
Absolutely. How they perceive it, if
handle
it's easy, if it's not. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great game plan. And like I said, this form is missing a couple of things. I think that if we put whether or not, how long have you owned your home for, or something to that effect, I think that would be good. And then we can, and this might be a better discussion item when we have the full committee, but if we wanted to even tweak some of our guidelines and give us the ability to be a little bit more flexible, like if somebody's not within the specific percentage of the poverty the poverty level, or things like that, because we might have years where we only get one or two applications, and even if they don't meet the rigid definition, but we can see, because there are a lot of people, I'm sure, that are kind of riding the line, right, where they're in that awful gray area where they don't qualify for the assistance, but they're also still struggling to make ends meet.
Definitely.
And we obviously would want to go on an as needed basis. And if we had a more needy applicant, we would want to, I think, defer to them. But at the same time, if we don't, I wouldn't want to see somebody who is vulnerable but isn't, quote unquote vulnerable enough, be kind of shut out in the cold and not be eligible.
Yeah. We had that blanket line of extraordinary circumstances will be considered in the committee's deliberation and decision process, but I wonder, like, the example given was like an unusual expense. I wonder if there's a way to make that even more broad, where, like, it doesn't even mean like an unusual expense. It could be, well, I guess that it still does keep it pretty blanket, like.
Because you don't know what that's going to be, whether the expense was
It could be anything.
health stuff or house stuff.
They just don't make enough money where
Yeah.
they work and can't afford stuff. Could
Right.
be, I guess, technically an
Unusual
extraordinary.
expense. Okay.
I don't know. I think my brain's fried today. I'm so sorry. I'm like,
No,
sorry,
no, it's all good.
everything.
No, it's all good.
But
So
I do think we really, I don't think should do or make any decisions today, because I think having all 5 of us helps to bounce more off, and I wouldn't want to make any decisions without them too with this, but I know that you're obviously sending the, is it the finals is what gets sent in December?
yes, yep, the actual billing. Yep, exactly.
So how does that read right now for people to know about us? Is it just the donation insert or the where to apply?
Yeah, so I updated the insert to let people know the applications will be available at the assessing office in January. So I think it would behoove us at least to get something in place, even if we determine later that it wasn't perfect and we've got opportunities. Just because with the preliminary billing, we did set the expectation that we'll have an application available for January.
Right.
So
I think we were still waiting for, today was gonna be the feedback on what the assessors meeting decided. Have you heard what that
Bill was supposed
happened?
to let us know.
Do you know if anything was decided? And I don't know if it was an actual meeting or if it was, because when I was playing back, he was gonna talk to Stephanie specifically, but I don't know if they actually,
I thought we picked today's date because he was meeting yesterday specifically, so I thought he was supposed to have better info today after meeting, and having a better idea after talking with Stephanie.
I think
But
so
we
too.
don't.
So I didn't get the feedback from the specific meeting, but I did speak with Stephanie today. So I did get some insight. I talked to her actually shortly before our meeting, excuse me. And she did tell me that the plan, as far as she knows right now, is to direct everybody to complete the senior exemption application.
Excellent.
Okay.
So that seems to be the working understanding in their office.
Okay, good. And I
Yeah.
assume that she must have already checked then at that point to make sure that that's fine. So that's good. I didn't realize that was official. So that's nice.
And so what we could do, here's an option that we could have is if we wanted to, I'm just trying to think about how we can. All right, so I've got an idea. Let me know if you hate this idea, then we'll figure something else out.
Okay.
But something we could do is we could just entertain approving this form subject to the revision to add the field for how long have you owned your home. And then we could also hold because Jonathan did a great job putting together those guidelines.
Mhm.
And something we could do is vote to empower one of the members of our committee to kind of clean up those guidelines and put them into a form. That way we wouldn't necessarily have to have another vote to accept the FAQ in the meantime, just because I don't know if we necessarily want to have another meeting this month, because then we're really starting to bump up against the holidays.
Right.
And so at the very least, this would be a good stopgap measure to ensure that we have something in place and that we'll be able to handle these inquiries if we get any.
Yes,
And
definitely.
then since we also are reserving the right to amend our criteria at any time, if we haven't got any applications yet in January and we have another meeting then and we want to tweak this form, we could always kind of tweak it and replace it and have folks be none the wiser if we don't have any applications. And then if we do have people who are interested, at the very least, we would have something that we can give them. And then if we have to change it next year, then we at least have kind of a jumping off point.
Right. Yeah, I do like that. That way it keeps it a little flexible for updates or like kind of revisions
Edits,
until
yeah.
we get there.
Absolutely.
I like that. I think if we I don't even know how to make the motion you just, can I say I make that motion?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
if I get a dollar, if I get a dollar for every time I said so moved, I'd be able to retire today.
Right. So I am going to add, I don't mind tweaking these two forms.
Guidelines.
I can add in, and I can probably make it smaller too for because some of them are check boxes too, like have you owned your home? If it's like a yes or no, we can do small check boxes across too.
Make it a little
to save space to keep it on one page, so it's not like you have to
Yep.
flip it over or twist pages
Absolutely.
around.
And that's not too bad. That second page of Jonathan's guidelines, it's just how to donate. That's only 4 bullet points. I bet we could, if you
I
squeeze
think I
the
can
other
make that
things, we
onto
could
one
get that
page
to one
too.
page.
So it could either be
Yeah.
a front and back or just in
Yep.
two
separates.
separate pages.
Okay.
All right, so how about I will now entertain a motion to accept the application for tax assistance presented today, subject to revisions by Laura to include a field for how long you have owned your home and stylistic changes to insert check boxes.
I make that motion.
All right.
Or, yes, that's what I say.
All
I
right,
lost
motion,
my agenda.
motion made. Is there a second?
I second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I will now entertain a motion to empower Laura on behalf of the committee to amend, modify, and clarify the FAQ and guidelines as previously presented by Jonathan at our previous meeting.
Can I make that motion or no? Because it's about me.
Yeah, no, you can.
Okay, I do that.
All right, motion made. Is there a second?
I second that.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So excellent. I think we've got a really good jumping off point. I think we've got some solid stuff to build on. And I think we are on a path to be able to get something accomplished.
Yeah, I hope we're able to
Awesome.
help a lot of people.
Me too.
Absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
wonderful.
Does anybody else have anything on the application and criteria for assistance, or would we like to move on to scheduling our next meeting?
We can move
I
on.
think we can move on.
Okay.
All right. So
I have no idea where I just put that agenda. I'm so confused. I don't know. This was last month. That's so bizarre.
would we
So
like?
we're looking into January, correct?
Yes. How would we feel about targeting either the second or fourth week of January? Maybe I was thinking just propose potential dates. It could be Thursday, January 9th or Thursday, January 23rd. Does anybody have any thoughts on either of those?
I can do 9th, 23rd, I will be out of state, so I mean, I could always email you guys the stuff too, if
was gonna
that
say
date
the
works
9th
better.
works
Oh, it does
for
work
me.
for you?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
9th?
Yeah, so if that's agreeable to everybody, and then pending Bill and Jonathan's availabilities, I'll check with them after between now and Monday, and if there are any complications, I'll email well ahead of that so that we can find another date. But if that date's otherwise agreeable to the three of us, I would like to entertain a motion to schedule our next regular meeting at prime time at 4 p.m. on Thursday, January 9th.
So moved.
All right, excellent. Is there a second?
I second that. So sorry, it's one minute in my calendar.
No, all good. Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And public input. You're
We
doing
got
an
nobody
awesome
here.
job. That's my. You're doing great.
And did you like that I put that in the minutes last month?
I did. And,
That's awesome.
all right, excellent. This is a great meeting. Thank you all. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion to adjourn at 4:25.
I second
All right.
that.
Motion made and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Well done, everybody. We are a testament to government efficiency. Would you look at that?
I love it. I
Let's
love
help some
it.
people. Let's
That's
do
right.
it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all very much. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully you don't have any storm cleanup to do this weekend.
Oh, yes.
You got it. Thank you, Paul. Have a good
Thanks,
weekend.
everybody. Thank
Bye,
you too.
Paul.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Oops.